Welcome to the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I am your host, Jackson Rudolph, and this is episode 122 featuring the promoters of the Ocean State Grand Nationals, the great coach Don Rodrigues and the legendary Christine Bannon-Rodrigues. Very excited to have them on the show today. And for fans of the show that watch all these episodes, you realize that once again, I'm in a different place. So last episode, we had Esteban Tremblay, the new adult men's, or not just men's because they put men's and women's together for Warrior Cup, but the adult forms Warrior Cup champion. He was on the show and talked about his experience winning that title. And now today, we're keeping it all within the family. We're keeping it within Team Paul Mitchell for a couple of episodes and bringing Coach and Christine on the show. But the number one reason that they're on the show today is to talk about the Ocean State Grand Nationals that's coming up March 31st to April 2nd. It's a historic sport karate event. It's an event that has meant the world to me for a really long time. So I'm very honored and humbled to be being inducted into the Hall of Fame there. So here's my public thank you as well to the two of you for that honor. But with that, I'll allow you guys to introduce yourselves a little bit and just tell us about the tournament. I know there's a registration deadline coming up. So introductions, and then just give us kind of your top 3 bullet points about the Ocean States coming up.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm Don Rodrigues. This is our 41st tournament that we're running live. We did do 2 tournaments during the pandemic time, you know what I mean? I gotta say this, that to a lot of people out there that, tournaments, when you go to a big national tournament like this here, it's easy to pick it apart. In some cases, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they did this, they did that, so forth and so on. It takes a lot to run a national championship tournament. It really does. So when you go to these tournaments, whoever's tournament it might be, it should be appreciated, the amount of work and time and effort that they put into this. We've been putting months of work into this already. And now it's crunch time, and we're like 6 weeks away. And it's exciting for me because I can't wait to get it done, if you know what I mean. And I'm already starting to think about 2024, which is it's bad because I haven't got 2023 done yet. But nonetheless, we're really excited about it. And I got my partner here, Christine. She's going to introduce herself now.
Yes, Christine Bannon-Rodrigues. Pleasure to be on the show, and we're super excited about the tournament this year. We got a lot of exciting things going on with it, and again, it's 41 years in person. We'd be on 43 if it wasn't for the pandemic, but we're excited.
That's awesome. And I'm excited too. I can't wait to be there. And so many exciting things happening at the Ocean States this year. So I mentioned that registration deadline. So everybody that's interested in coming to the Ocean States, which should be everybody watching the show. But if you're interested in coming to the Ocean States, make sure you check that out by Monday, because that's when I believe it's going to be a price cutoff, right, for the registration. Right. So make sure that you guys are staying tuned to that. And then on top of that, I also just want to talk about some of the special features of the event this year. One that I definitely want to talk about is the Kevin Thompson Award, which is new this year, right? So let's talk about that a little bit first, and then we'll go to some of the great things you guys are doing for the athletes and competitors as well.
Yeah. Well, the Kevin Thompson Award has been given out for a few years now, you know what I mean? But we really proud to be able to give this award out to. What it consists of, anybody that brings 5 or more people to the tournament, a school or a team, and they go to the tournament, we give them an opportunity to give a Kevin Thompson Trophy Award. It's a small cup that they can give to their students for the most outstanding person that competed at the tournament or did something special, whatever it may be. They may not even take first place, but the efforts that they made during the tournament and so forth, the instructor gets an opportunity to give them this award. Now, it doesn't cost any money. They only have to come up to us and say, can I get a Kevin Thompson Award for my school? And we give them the trophy, and they're able to give the trophy out to them. And, of course, this is to honor one of the greatest competitors that we ever had on the sport karate circuit ever, Kevin Thompson, who was the captain of our Paul Mitchell team. And he meant so much to me. And I know he meant a lot to you too, Jackson. And also Christine and Kevin. They both got inducted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame the same year. Christine as the female competitor of the year and Kevin as the male competitor of the year. There's a lot of history with Kevin, and I just I miss him so much, and we want to keep his spirits alive, and we want to honor him and his family for what Kevin has done to the sport.
Yeah, and this award was given out when Kevin was still alive as well. And then we've kept it going. And it's just the MVP of your team at the Ocean State, not your overall MVP, since your team started or your school or, it's not through history. It's just at the event. So it's someone like a game ball, someone that did outstanding and you want to recognize, it could be a little white belt kid or it could be a black belt guy that wins the team fight in overtime, so that's what that award is.
That's awesome. And such a cool program that you guys have put together over these last several years, just because of that's something that's missing from regular sport karate competition, right? I feel like, and this is one of the reasons that I love being on Paul Mitchell so much in particular, is that I feel like most teams, even schools that come to sport karate tournaments, you don't always feel that family environment, right? A lot of the times once you show up to the tournament, outside of something like a team fight or a team demo competition, everybody's kind of off doing their own thing. So some of the best parts of tournaments are like those team meetings after all the dust is settled after the night show, and having something that is so special, like a Kevin Thompson award, an MVP type award to give out for that weekend, just to your team members and create that moment. I think that's something that's really, really special. And speaking of creating moments, let's talk about the night show, because the night show is always fantastic at Ocean State's. High caliber talent from all over the world descends on Rhode Island for this tournament. And since last Ocean State's, it's now getting streamed on the CW network. And so I want to give you guys an opportunity to, number one, talk about that and who's going to see that and how cool that is that we're getting our sport on TV more and more, which is awesome. And then also for our competitors that want to make it to the finals, the importance of making sure that you go to the Ocean State Grand Nationals Facebook page, find the post with the link to the music website, go to that website, and then I believe it's a form that you fill out to submit your music choice, right? I cannot stress enough the importance of that, because if we don't have the royalty-free music, then you're not able to use music for your form in the night show, because it's very, very important that we keep everything royalty-free for the streaming with the CW network. Right. So there is my 10,000 feet view understanding of the people who are making it happen. Right. Make sure that that everybody's informed. But aside from that, talk about how cool it is that we're going to be on TV again.
It's awesome. It's it's the best way for the general public to learn about the martial arts. And, we were kind of on the fence about doing it again this year. And, they were asking if we were going to be having the event again and if we were going to film. So, they had great results, great viewers on last year's show. And we had it four weekends in a row. So May was called Martial Arts Month on the CW channel. And, it aired every Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we had a great time slot and it had great viewers.
Yeah. The viewership was up high. It was their best attendance, the best audience that they've had at that time slot in a long time. So they were excited about it. And they called us and asked us if we were going to do it again because they want to put those time slots aside. And with all we're doing at the tournament and what we're expecting to be there, it would be a shame not to have it on television. You know what I mean? People need to see these people. And the amount of talent that's coming from all over the place, doing everything, forms, weapons, fighting. I mean, we're really excited about our talent level this year and the people that are coming there. And you know what? I'm excited to see it myself, and so forth. And having Don the Dragon Wilson there doesn't hurt either. You know what I mean? He's been a very famous martial artist and also a big time actor. And he's really excited about coming there too. And he might end up partnering up with you a little bit on that broadcast. So, but as you can see, we got a lot of stuff that we got going on, you know.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's one thing that I can't wait for is to be back in the booth again and commentate those finals. Had so much fun doing it last time. And what makes it so much fun is the caliber of talent that we're watching on stage. I tell people all the time, when I'm commentating, I'm a fan first. That's kind of the moment that I can step back from my critical view of sport karate from being a former competitor, right? And always trying to nitpick and help my students out and all that stuff, right? When I'm commentating, I can sit back and be a fan and enjoy the action, right? And that's one of the things that's so great about the Ocean States is the talent that you guys attract by bringing in some of those legendary martial artists that everybody wants to meet, like Don the Dragon Wilson, Bill Superfoot Wallace, among others. I've seen Cynthia Rothrock there before, I believe, right? So all kinds of these high caliber martial artists that have come through the Ocean State Grand Nationals, and not to mention some of the increased prize money that you guys are putting out, which is going to be a huge draw, especially for those point fighters that are going to have the opportunity to win some prize money 1st through 8th place, right? I think, Christine, I heard you coming with a thought, and then we'll transition to prize money, or we can go straight to prize money, whatever works.
I just wanted to reiterate on that music. There is no charge to pick one of those songs, and some competitors competed last year want to use the same music that they chose last year for the finals, and that is fine, but they still just need to fill out that form and the name of the song and submit it and everything else. So just get that to us as soon as possible. And then someone else had asked me, do I have to, create a form to them? And I'm like, you never have to use music unless you win a musical division, so it's fine to go without music if that's your choice as well. But get that form, sent out, and you should get the music sent back to you usually in the same day by the end of the night, if not maybe the next day. So help us out with that so that everything can run smooth. And yes, the prize money, we're excited about the prize money and about, we are very lucky to have the sponsors that we have helping us out with some of the prize money. So that men's super fights challenge of 7,500 is being sponsored by Ocean State Collision Center and the Zangari family. And then we had some other women's open weights and some other divisions being sponsored by Female Fighters Matter 2 and Maggie Messina. So, we're very excited about it. And I think it's going to bring in a lot of top competitors, because last year when we were looking at that division, we were like, oh my God, there's you almost could pick 8 people that could, or 10 people that could possibly win it, on their best day. It all depends how the bracket sets up and who's in what bracket. And we had no idea, we had our top 3 or 4 that we thought might win, so by giving that prize money from 1st through 8th, if you fight that guy that wins the whole thing in an earlier bracket, maybe you're still going to finish in the top 8 and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's the first time that I can recall of giving 8 places of money, and when you got 5th to 8th place, each one of those guys are going to get $250 each. You know what I mean? And then the 2 3rd place winners get $750 each. And the 2nd place winner gets $1,500. And of course, our winner is going to get $3,500. And you know what? We're excited about it because these guys work so hard. And you know it as well as I do, Jackson. Some of these fights are overtime. Next point wins, and all of a sudden, they end up getting the call going the other way or whatever it is. And you know what? I'm really excited about it. Really excited about it. And there's a lot of talk about it. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about it is that I hear some people saying, I think I could take an 8th place, you know what I mean? It's and I'm talking about older guys in their 50s that haven't fought in a while, but No, I think we're going to have a lot of fun there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the competition that's going to be there.
That's awesome. So there's two things I want to say about this. Number one, huge step forward for the sport as a whole, right? On two different levels, right? Number one, just offering more prize money in general. That's something that coming out of the pandemic, prize money was reduced a little bit to help tournaments kind of get back on their feet. But now tournaments are booming as big as I've ever seen them before, right? And so the sport karate world has done a great job of rebounding from the pandemic. And now it's time to start giving these athletes what they truly deserve, right?
Yeah.
And that's honestly above the prize money that was even available before the pandemic, right? We need to keep moving this thing in the right direction. And through what you guys are doing with the help of your sponsors, that is a huge step in the right direction for the sport. And the other way that it's a step in the right direction, aside from just more, is also that money is being distributed further down the list, right? In my opinion, and this is Jackson talking, in my opinion, you should not have to win the whole tournament to make anything. And that's typically how it's been structured over the last couple of years, right? You got to win the overall grand as an adult if you want any prize money. And if it's something below that, like if you're the runner-up in the grand, just go home. You know what I'm saying, right? So I think it is really important to offer kind of that tiered pricing structure. And I know that because of, NASCAR rules and policies and such, there's certain divisions that you're not able to mess with the prize money on. Right. But I love what you guys do by offering those extra divisions so that those competitors have those opportunities. And for fighters especially, the opportunity to do another division, right? Us forms and weapons competitors, we get 7-8 divisions that we can compete in. We can be competing all weekend. Fighters get their open weight and their division, and if they don't have a team fight, that's it. You know what I mean? Right. So giving those fighters more opportunities to get out there, I think, is awesome. Well, and yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
NASCAR did allow starting this year that you could give more prize money if you wanted to. Before we were capped, and you could only. So now you have to give the pandemic prize money, but you could give more if you want. And we could have put that just right towards the men's heavyweight and lightweight grand, but we had so much fun having that extra division, and fighters really enjoyed the fact that they could come and do their weight division. They could do open weight. They could do super fights. They could do team fights, so they had a lot more chances to get out there and fight. And it really stinks when you fight the very best in the division, your first match, and you fight a 2-minute match and then you're done for the weekend, So, that gives them a lot more opportunities to win prize money and to get out there and fight.
Thank you for that update. I'm going to give NASCAR a huge 2 thumbs up for making that rule and saying hey, promoters, you're able to go above this prize money as much as you want to. I think that's a really, really good step. And back to what I was saying about just the professionalism of distributing the prize money down the division further, right? That's how every other professional sport does it, right? If you're a professional golfer and you barely make the cut, depending on the tournament, you could still make 5 figures that weekend. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, sport karate's working on getting the level of sponsorship that golf has. I think sport karate's just as exciting, right? So I think we can get there. And that brings me to another point that I wanted to make about the point fighting in particular, the super fights, is that sport karate is a spectator sport. I've been preaching this forever, right? Oftentimes, everybody is so focused on how do we get more competitors? How do we get more competitors? And that is important. Don't get me wrong. It's good to get more competitors. But think about all of the opportunities if we focus on how many spectators we can get. How many people can we just get to stop and watch us, right? Whether it be in person at the event, whether it be on live streams during the event, or whether it be on a television broadcast after the event, right? How many eyeballs can we get on this? Because in super fights last year, I'm pretty sure it was super fights. Might have been open weight, but I'm pretty sure it was super fights. We got a matchup between Avery Plowden and Elijah Everill in the first round. We got 2 world-class fighters in the very first round of that division. You know what I mean? So you need to be paying attention the whole time. You need to watch that whole division because you never know when there's going to be one of these world-class matchups going down. Yeah. So just speak a little bit to the entertainment value of that.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you have, and it's luck of the draw, so you could end up with the 2 very best fighters going at it first round. So it's very exciting to watch. And we were happy to see different winners, so it wasn't like someone just came in and smoked everyone and won every single big division. We had Avery win
he won the super fights.
He won the super fights. And, so it was spread out. We had Raymond's team win the team fights. And then Jack won. Which one did he win? Was it?
I thought he won one of the grands. I'm not sure.
Was it the BF? The BF? I can't remember.
Jack won the lightweight grand. Elijah won the heavyweight, and then Elijah won the last man standing. Over
the last man standing, right? So it was spread out well. And then the open weight winner was that Jack?
No.
That might have.
I'm trying to remember.
It was a lightweight, I think.
Was it Jack though? It wasn't Jack.
No, it was not Jack.
Yeah, it was just.
We got to go check our records.
I know.
Yeah,
but it was nice that it was all different winners, and they were all extremely high caliber fighters, but it was spread out. So and then with the CW channel, because we did it 4 weeks in a row. We featured like the women's fighting grand and the men's fighting grand, and then maybe the next one it was the VFT, so it was the overall, and then we showed the super fights, so we were able to show different matches that were not just top 8, at the bottom of the bracket. We were showing like the major fight for first place in several different categories throughout the 4 weeks. So that was nice. So it was split up well because we had some competition with the forms and the weapons, and then some fighting on each episode.
That's awesome.
It was really, really good to see the talent that was there. Some of the people that were there fighting really hard. And you know what? It brought back old times, so to speak, when we used to go to the tournaments and everybody was there. You know what I mean? But Jackson, you're so right about giving more people more money when they're fighting, because they deserve it. And like you said about golf, they go down, I think, 125th. And it goes way down, and they're making quite a bit of more money than we are over here. And but I got to tell you that one of the things that we've been lucky with, like Christine mentioned earlier, is getting some of the sponsorship that we've been able to get. And we put that sponsorship money right back to the competitor. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel is important. It's not to help run the tournament. It's to give it back to the competitor. And that's what we want to do. And you know what? We're getting a lot of good feedback, which I'm really happy about. And we was brought up the other day about having, say, too many competitors from a team in one bracket. So we're going to try to separate that. Like if somebody has 4 competitors on a team there, we're going to try to put 2 in each bracket. So it's not all 4 of them in one bracket. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I guess that was a problem at a couple of the past tournaments, and I've already discussed it with Moshe. And, that fighters, the rule is your fighter from your same team or your same school needs to be separated in the first bracket. After that, it's open game, So one of the last tournaments, I think it was Joe Greenhall's team, and it might have even been Jesse's, that they were all in the top bracket or the bottom. Everyone from their school or their team were in the same bracket instead of being. So I spoke with Moshe about this the other day, and he said, no, he's like, Juventex will separate, if there's 2 Paul Mitchell guys in there, they're going to be completely separated. As when it shuffles, it'll keep them separated as far away from each other as possible. Of course, you have to, all depends if someone's seated in a division as well, because, number 1 goes on the top, number 2 goes on the bottom. So that comes into play. But the biggest thing that we can educate the fighters on is, say, Team CBR, but I also train at Bannon-Rodrigues Karate Academy. So when I register, I might put Bannon-Rodrigues Karate Academy and forget to do my Team CBR. So it's really important because the computer doesn't know, or they don't know Team Paul Mitchell or JPM. Right. They're gonna say Team Paul Mitchell and JPM are 2 different teams. The computer can't differentiate between those 2. So as a coach, you should make sure that all your players are listed under the same name. And you could probably even send support at Eventex if there's, if you have JPM and Team Paul Mitchell, if you have a couple of variations, the team members might not know which one to click. So you could probably even send support and say, can you get rid of those other two? So it's only, Team Paul Mitchell, or whatever the team might be. So that's an issue sometimes. So they end up being paired up because they didn't enter it correctly on the computer and they think it's two different teams. So we're going to do our very best to try to keep players from the same team out of the same brackets the best we can.
Yeah, it's really important to make sure everybody gets it fair. You don't want to fight somebody that you fight every day. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, they're separating them. And you know what? I as you know, I'm not a big computer fan. You know what I mean? And that's okay. But at the same time, that's what we're working and doing right now. And they do a great job. I got to tell you, they do a really good job. You know what I mean? Me, I'd still be writing them in their own places. You know what I mean? Which is going to take a lot longer than what they do. But we're going to try to get it right. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. So big shout out to Eventex for helping out the Ocean State Grand Nationals and all of the registration, the night show scoring, everything. So huge shout out to Eventex and Moshe Gershberg for making that possible. And I love that perspective that you gave, Christine, on like the ins and outs of how it works and how people from the same team might accidentally end up in the same bracket. And that brings me to just a piece of coaching advice from some things that I've heard over the last couple of tournaments, not just related to the way that a bracket shakes out with your team members, but related to like any question or problem that you have with the way the division is going at all, right? I've heard a lot of cases recently of people trying to do an arbitration after the division's already over, right? Don't do that. If you've got a question, if you've got a problem, mention it, right? If it's a forms and weapons division and it's right after your person went or right after you went, depending on the circumstances, right? Then go ahead and voice that concern, because it's going to be too late if you wait until after the shuffle is already done or after the scoring is already done or after something happens. It's a whole lot harder to go back and try to make things right and fix it. And somebody's going to be upset no matter what. So if you have a question or if you have an arbitration at a higher level, make sure it gets handled up front before anything else happens, because if you just kind of let things play out, then you kind of lose your power to arbitrate. And there's been some very specific scenarios where that hasn't been the case and they've done like a retrospective arbitration, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say, coaches, let's make everybody's life easier by making sure that you submit any arbitration question concern before the shuffle, before the division is scored, so on and so forth, right?
Absolutely.
So the other thing, Coach, we talked about this on the phone the other night, and I think that the fighters especially are going to love this, and me personally as a forms and weapons competitor would love this, is having a bigger stage, right? I know you've got some big things planned for kind of moving the stage to somewhere different, so Ocean State's might look a little bit different this year than it has in previous years, and expanding that stage to make it bigger so that fighters don't fall off, so that forms and weapons competitors have even more room for trick combinations, whatever it may be, right? So, Coach, I know you're excited about that, so I'll let you talk about it some.
I appreciate that, Jackson. Yeah, one of the concerns with some of the fighters was that we needed a bigger stage, and I agreed with them. However, where I had the stage, I couldn't make it any bigger because it would block the doors, and that's called a fire hazard. Fire department could come in and close your whole show down. So we couldn't do it. We went as far as we could, and that was it. But after listening to everybody, I went back and I looked at it and I said, you know what, if we move the stage to this area, I think it could fit. And we had to go there and I had to measure it out. And we're going to be having it where I make the announcements during the day. That's where the stage is going to be permanently put for now. And, we're making the stage so much bigger. I already called the stage company that we bring in. We bring in a professional stage from a company out of Massachusetts, and they come down and they set it up, and they've been doing this for years. and it's such a strong, sturdy stage. What happens a lot of times, Jackson, some of the stages that you get from the hotels are not made to be jumped on like that, to go up in the air and come down with some of the crazy things that you guys do. You know what I mean? For forms and weapons and so forth. And it would be easier for a stage to break, say, if it was actually from the hotel itself. It's not meant to do that. The stages that we have is very, very strong and sturdy, and they're able to do that without any problem. So we've already called the company. I told them the situation there, and we're going to be making that stage much bigger, and it's going to be much better for everybody, I think. You know what I mean? And there's not going to be a bad seat in the entire place now, because it's going to be more centered more than anything. You know what I mean? So we're pretty excited about that too. And anytime you're going to look at for the safety of the competitor, you know, we had one gentleman there that was in his 70s, and a guy fell on top of him at the stage. Now, luckily for us, nobody got hurt, but could have. You know what I mean? So hopefully this is going to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I like to keep the men's, you know, so those special fights up on stage. I know sometimes fighters like to be on the ground. If we were in a giant, huge convention center and we could have it all buried off and stuff, would be one thing. But it's nice to keep them, and it keeps everything under control, where you don't have, you know, other team members or audience or, you know, getting too close to the action, and everyone wants to see, and it's very hard to see when it's on the ground because no chairs are elevated. So it just keeps it at bay, keeping it up on stage. I know we could run it a lot faster and stuff by putting it on the ground and having them all, you know, several rings going on. But, you know, it's for the audience to be able to really enjoy it and see it, and for the safety of those coaches and teams that get a little excited and step into the ring when they really shouldn't. But I was looking at I was like, you drive me crazy that I couldn't remember that, but it was Jack Felton that won the open weight. And then it was Elijah and Avery on the other two. So I knew we had three really good champions, and it was divided up between those three. So
very, very much. I mean, you know what? All of the guys that you just mentioned, Jack has been around for a long time and such a great fighter. It was so good to see him here competing and so forth. And he was excited about it. Of course, Avery is a part of the family, so to speak, with Richard being a former Paul Mitchell member. And that's his son, who I know he's very proud of, him and his daughter. But you know what? Really, really good fighters. And that's the thing, you know what I mean? And we had some people that were injured last year. I think Bailey was injured and he couldn't make it. And he's anxious to get back out there. I was talking to him and so forth. And we have a lot of really good people here, you know what I mean? And I'm really excited about it.
And, you know, I'd like to give a shout out to the women. I really hope, especially being a female, former competitor and now co-promoter, I'd love to see more women show up at the event, you know. So if we can justify doing some kind of super fights for the women next year, you know, but we looked at it and we were like, you know, let's put it towards their open weight or whatever. But, you know, if we could see better numbers in the women's fighting division, you know, there's some great fighters out there that have never been to a tournament, you know. So it'd be nice to see. I don't know what we had in open weight, maybe like 16 last year, maybe 18. So, you know, the men's is, you know, I don't even remember.
Well, it was in the 50s, I think, you know.
So it was big. So
yeah, and you know, it's listen, I have always been a big fan of female fighters with my wife here, you know what I mean? And I know she was around at this time when it was around. I know I had a lot of people say the same thing, you know. But you know what? We're really working at, you know, I got to tell you, Jackson, I'm so excited about the tournament. We just want to try to make this tournament the best tournament that we can possibly run. And that's what we work on every day and all the time. And, it's kind of like last year, we gave that big TV out. We gave an 82-inch color TV out to the most supporting school. Well, when they went through the computer, I think it was Moshe's the one that, got the team that won by one competitor. You know what I mean? And I said, wow, imagine that just by one competitor, And, so we were talking about it. And this year we got an 85-inch color TV for the winning school. But we're giving a 75-inch color TV for the second place winner. So it makes us feel better if something like that happened. You know what I mean?
And we will give it out Saturday night at the finals. So if you had competitors competing on Sunday, whoever signs up Sunday would need to be pre-registered to be counted in your total count there. So, but we're looking forward to that. Hopefully you don't fly in from somewhere and have to figure out how to get it home.
Yeah, if you're bringing a lot of people, I would have somebody bring a van just in case.
That's awesome. And the thing that I love so much about this, at every turn, doing something extra for the people that come to your tournament, whether it's a local school that brings out the most people or whether it's the world-class athletes that are flying in from all over, right? You're doing things at every single turn to give back to the people who are making the tournament successful. And I think that that's really what being a promoter is all about, right? Because promoters couldn't do their job. They could not put on these events if not for the supporting schools, those world-class athletes that are going to be up there in the finals, and then the sponsors that make it all possible, right? And at every turn, you guys are giving back to all of those role players. As, of course, in the middle of the podcast, we probably hear that screaming baby in the background. But anyway, so the other thing I wanted to mention, Christine, you brought up a great point about the female fighters and about how if the female fighters want to get a super fights, come out, support the event. And if we get the numbers, then that's something we can absolutely do. And I just wanted to throw in not just the number of female fighters continuing to grow, but look at the caliber of talent that we have right now, right? If you look like pre-pandemic, there was a time where it was like there was Morgan and there was Kitana and then there was the field, right? And then there's kind of everybody else, right? At least in the North American side of things. In Europe, they've always had a whole bunch of great female fighters, right? And
right. So
now, though, we see who just won the Warrior Cup, Katarina Herman. She had a big couple of weeks now on Paul Mitchell, right? So that's super exciting. Jimena Janeiro, the other Revolution girls. And I know if I start trying to name people, I'm going to forget people. So I'm going to stop naming right there. But there's literally a dozen female fighters that all kind of put themselves in that conversation as somebody who can show up and try to go win the overall, right? Team Diamond G3's got some great fighters, right? I think Straight Up's got a couple of extra female fighters now, right? So there's so many key role players and everything that make those divisions so much more exciting. So it's not just we're getting more female fighters, and if we're going to do super fights for them, we want to see them come out to the event first, right? But also the caliber of talent continues to increase as well, which I think is really, really exciting. And go ahead. Absolutely. Speak to that.
And they even, it's not like we're not giving them any. We have $1,000 for the women's open weight, and we have $1,000 for women's fighting grand, and we also have money for the women's team fights. So it's not like we're not giving them any money at all. It's just that, some asked about super fights, and we said, come out and support the event, and we'll add another division.
We've talked about it, and it's something that we would love to do, and you have that, So you know what, we're going to have to just wait and see. But listen, like you said, the women's talent is starting to get up there. That's really good. It's good to see. It's really, really good to see.
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about what's going to happen at the Ocean States this year. And anybody who watches this podcast knows that I'm a total sport karate history nerd. And I know, Coach, you are a very renowned storyteller in the sport karate space, right? So now I want to take everybody back for a minute and just to learn more about the Ocean States, give us the origin story. How did the Ocean State Grand Nationals come to be in the first place?
You know what? I got to tell everybody, this is a good story. My instructor, Nick Sirio, was running karate tournaments, and he's the one that urged me to run a karate tournament. He said, you know what, you need to run a karate tournament, because I kept telling him this and that, He says, you need to run one. He said, if you go there, I'll bring everybody I got from all the schools that I got. We'll all go there and support it. And he did. He brought a lot of people. And it was the first karate tournament that I ran was the Bannon-Rodrigues Karate Championships, believe it or not. Okay. It wasn't until the second year that I named it the Ocean State. Okay. And that became the second year, And then it was the Ocean State Karate Championships. And then we mentioned, I think 3 or 4 years later, it turned into the Ocean State Grand Nationals. And that's how that all started. But I want to give you some insight on my first tournament. I had 29 divisions. You know what I mean?
Junior, peewee, mini peewee.
Yeah. White belts, green belts, brown belts, whatever. You know what I mean? But it was good. It was a lot of fun for me to do. And of course, the first time I ran it, then it was like I was hooked at that point, And now it's turned into a nightmare for us in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? But so many times I woke up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I have to go over and shut down what I was just dreaming about. You know what I mean? Just to make sure we put it down. But that's been, and right from that point on is when we started to see how we could build it up. And over the years, the people that have attended this tournament and been there as special guests, Chuck Norris has been to our tournament twice, 2001 and 2005. And, of course, like you said, Don Wilson and Bill Wallace and Cynthia Rothrock. And we had, Bruce Lee, Shannon Lee in there. And we had a bunch of people over the years. And it's been a great, it's been great to run it. You know what I mean? And, the stars that we bring in are all really good people. And you know what? Don's the kind of guy that'll just sit there and talk to anybody. Don the Dragon Wilson is just an awesome guy, just like Bill Wallace was, and all these guys. So they're really, really not just great martial arts, but great people. And that's what represents this event. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that there. But, Christine competed before she was a black belt. I think you was an orange belt or whatever.
Yeah, my first Ocean State, the first year that you ran it, before I was a co-promoter. I was an orange belt, and I was 13, so I competed with the boys in the junior division for forms. But then it was either, a 13-year-old boy compared to a 13-year-old girl could be a huge difference. So he was telling me, I think you're better off going in the women's division. So I was 13. I went in the women's division, but back then it was white to black. So I was an orange belt, and I fought, for many people that remember years ago, Larry Kelly, who passed away, but Larry Kelly was an amazing fighter.
He was.
And it was his wife, who was a black belt at the time, that I fought, fought at the Ocean State. So
Christine fought her when she was an orange belt. You know what I mean? So, and but the tournament's gone a long way since then. You know what I mean? And we got people competing from 3 to 4 years old all the way up into their 80s now. You know what I mean? And so it's exciting. It's exciting.
Absolutely. And if I had to put a word to Ocean States and how it feels for me, nostalgic would be near the top of that list. It's a nostalgic tournament from all the memories that I've had there. I've had a lot of really influential experiences over the course of my sport karate career at the Ocean States. And so now we're gonna keep on this theme of storytelling and nostalgia. Do each of you have, if you had to pick one, a favorite memory from the Ocean States, just something that happened at the Ocean States that's just stuck with you for however many years? And whoever comes up with a story first can start.
Oh God, I got too many of them. But
yeah, I got a lot. But the first the team Transworld Oil, which was the
I was
Atlantic team. They debuted at the Ocean State back in 1987, I believe it was. You know, if I'm
Might
not
have been, I don't know if it was 86 or I'm not sure.
And then Paul Mitchell, we ended up debuting the year later. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's in our you know, we've had team fights there between the two teams, and you know, it was been very, 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 how can I say, exciting to have the amount of talent that was on both teams, you know. And but you know what? Anytime you get two great competitors fighting out there, I mean, when one year we had the team Italy from Italy. It was Ennio Falzoni brought in that team when he had Bozzolini and he had all those fighters there. We had our Paul Mitchell team there, and we went head to head, and it was really good, you know. And I'll never forget. He says, "You know what? We need an Italian judge. We need an Italian judge up there." This is what Ennio was saying. I said, "Okay." So I put Tony Cogliandro in there, and he said, "No." I said, "He's Italian, and that's as close as you're going to get." So, I mean, and, you know, Tony called it right down the line anyway, you know what I mean? But you know what? We've had some really, really good, and plus, you know, we've had Billy Blanks and Nasty fight each other on that stage, you know what I mean? Which big rivalry, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's been really, really some of the, go ahead, you must have.
Well, I was probably going to say, you know, being part of the Transworld team, and that being, you know, that was a huge part of history as far as that team with the amount of sponsorship and stuff, and the who's who that was on that team, and debuting at our event was very cool, you know. But you know, one of my things this year was I want to get all my old VHS tapes and transfer them to MP4, you know, version. And so I've been doing that gradually. And we were watching some of the Ocean State, and, you know, that was on the Fox network, and, you know, like different shows that we've televised, but watching Joe Corley and Pat Johnson be the color commentating. You know, now we're up with you color commentating, but, you know, back then we had Howard Jackson on there. Chuck Norris was talking. I mean, just all the different color commentators. I'm watching these shows, and, you know, and I have home videos of the kids growing up and stuff too. But I'm watching all these Ocean States, and I'm like, wow, I mean, that's when we were at Rocky Point at the amusement park, or that was when we were at the convention center, and just some great memories over the years. And probably after Charlie, the black belt, broke our stage that one year, that was you know, that was quite a exciting nighttime show.
yeah. Charlie the black belt champ. He was something else, you know.
That's awesome. And thank you guys for sharing those stories. And I know that we could probably do a whole podcast talking about stories in Ocean States alone. And as you guys can hear, when the Jackson Rudolph Podcast goes on the road and we do episodes from hotels, you also get vacuum cleaners in the background. So I'll make this question quick, and then I'll mute myself again. But we've talked about Transworld Oil. Obviously, on this show, how could we not talk about Paul Mitchell, with head coach and founder himself, and one of the great members to ever represent Paul Mitchell and Christine, right? But now I just want to ask about, Coach, your preview of Paul Mitchell going into this season, right? Lots of new talent on the team, some talent that we're looking to coach up and become some of the world's best, some talent that's been recruited that already has proven themselves as some of the world's best. And as somebody that's on the coaching staff myself, incredibly excited to see all of these guys out there. Forms, weapons, fighting, doesn't matter. I think Coach Damon has done an incredible job of scouting talent on the fighting side, and getting us some new fighters in the building, so to speak, the metaphorical building, right? But anyway, so Coach, just kind of preview what the black and white looks like coming into this season.
Well, this is one of the most exciting times in Paul Mitchell history, because where we really got the movement going. We got the excitement back. We got people that, you know, really want to be a part of the team. I don't want anybody that doesn't want to be a member of the team. I don't want them on the team. You know what I mean? I want people that want to be on it. I want people that want to be proud to be on the team, and so forth. And I think that's the most important thing. The young talent that we got coming up, it's just so exciting. And I gotta tell you that it's a combination of things that made this happen. Coach Damon has been incredible. Damon Gilbert is a very critical person when he watches people. He just doesn't watch them for the amount of talent he has. He also watches for their attitude and their work habits and things like that there. So a lot of things come into play to make things work for Damon. And me and him have talked about it so many times. And I love the conversations that me and him have personally, And then you got Steve Babcock out there, which is a big movement for this team. Huge. Me and Steve started this team together, and now here we are. Probably going into our 36th year soon. And it's it's been really a fantastic journey, which it's still going. And then you got Chris Rappold, the guy that flies under the radar, so to speak. You know what I mean? Chris means so much to this team, being part of the executive board and so forth. And then we got this other guy, Jackson Rudolph, that's been an incredible help. And with the combination of us, it's been really terrific. You know what I mean? And I also want to say this too. Lauren Kearney was a part of our executive team, and she's not on the team anymore. As far as the executive team goes, she's always be a part of Team Paul Mitchell, no matter what. But she was such a big help and for so many years. I just wanted to give a shout out to Lauren. But the executive team that we have right now is the movement that we're making with this team, and the young talent, and some of these guys that are coming in. It's going to be the first time I've met some of the fighters. I've seen them fight on film and stuff and so forth, but I can't wait to see everybody at the Ocean State. It's going to be a really, really exciting thing, because this is where it all started. Mm-hmm. This is where it all started, right here. You know what I mean? This was our very first tournament that we ever went to. So it's pretty exciting.
That's awesome. And, I love, Coach, how you talk about some of the new talent. You bring in some of the history, some of the people that have been here the whole time, like co-founder Steve Babcock, right? And I love how you talk about Chris and how Chris has always kind of been behind the scenes, right? And I've heard other teams, right? I've heard the outside voices wondering, like, well, why does Paul Mitchell have so many coaches? Why do they need all those coaches, right? But truly, and I think that was a good way to break it down, everyone has their specific roles that they bring to the team, right? And that's one of the things that helps set Paul Mitchell apart and has helped Paul Mitchell continue to exist for 36 years is that leadership structure that I believe that leadership structure began around 2011, 2012 in that time frame, right? And I think that has been hugely important to the continued growth and development of the team. And so I love the fact that you kind of gave that overview. And speaking about team growth and development, a relatively new team has recently made its debut onto the circuit over the last couple of years. And Christine, that is your team, Team CBR, Team Christine Bannon-Rodrigues, right? And I got to say, personally, I love some of the moves that you guys have made. I think that you've got a great little squad of fighters that's kind of hungry and trying to prove themselves. I know that they do a lot of great work on the regional circuits. And when they come to the NASCA tournaments, they certainly pose a threat in some of those divisions, which I love to see. And also making the move to go and pick up Caitlin Vong, who kind of came out of nowhere over the last couple of years on stage, won some overalls in the women's division. You guys went and got her. So I love the character of the team that you're building, and I love some of the moves that you've made. So now give us a little bit of a preview of your personal squad going into to the rest of the season.
Well, we're excited about it. I think I've learned from, being on several teams, but of course, Team Paul Mitchell, learned that how to handle sponsorship and not to take advantage and to use it the right way. And we don't have a big team. It's not a big team. And I kind of like it that way. I mean, I've had people recommend people, but if I don't personally know, even if they're winning first place all the time, if I don't personally know, you want to have good people on the team, people that can all, work together and care about you and think more of the team rather than just being an individual. And I feel like we really have that. We are looking to grow the team a little bit bigger, but it's all a matter of finding that, the right matches. So, but we have, Caitlin, I was looking at Caitlin when I was, because I judge at all these tournaments all the time. And she was in the 16-17 division years ago. And I had seen her at the Capital Classic. And I was like, wow, she's really good. And then she fought, and she had those, really nice pop sidekicks and stuff in the forms divisions. And I was like, oh, she impressed me. And then she came out and fought, and she was like sticking that foot in people's faces. And I was like, she's really good. So I was like, oh, let's see if, this is just her local town or if we'll see her around at any of the other ones. I was kind of thinking about her, and then the pandemic happened. And then after the pandemic, we got back out to competing, and I didn't see her for a little bit. And then all of a sudden I just assumed she was, off to college, which she is. She is in college and teaches at a school, but, spotted her and right away I was like, oh, she's back competing. All right. Because I was thinking about it when you were still in the junior division. Now you're in the women's division. So, but we have her, we have Mouse, who does well very good in the fighting divisions as well. And Ashley Zachary. So we have those three women, and then Brandon Thompson and Julio Lugo, and then Anthony Zangari, of course. So those three guys, they're great. We see a lot of them locally too, because a lot of them are from this area. Riker has not been competing. He's been opening a school out in California, and he's been a little tied up with that, but I'm hoping that he's going to get back out there competing, because he was really looking good when, pre-pandemic, he was really looking good out there. So we're hoping that he'll come back. And same thing with oh God, we had a couple other people that we were working with. So I think the teams, we're excited about Ocean State being our first tournament for the year. So I don't know.
I gotta tell you this, and just to interrupt a little bit, but when we were talking about Paul Mitchell, I can't give out more praise than John Paul DeJoria, our sponsor, for Paul Mitchell products. They've been the Paul Mitchell team, the Paul Mitchell company has been so good to us as being sponsors for us over the years. And, I have always said it that, thinking less of me and more of we, that's what team is. It's not about me, it's about we, you know what I mean? And you know what? It's not hard to find a sponsor out there, people. It's hard to keep one, you know what I mean? And that's what you got to work really hard for, is to keep these sponsors, make them happy, and make them know that they're appreciated. And it's the same thing with the CBR team, with the Ocean State Collision. They've come out and they really wanted to see this sport grow, and they got the team and they're supporting us and so forth. And the Zangari family with the Anthony and Gina, and of course Anthony Jr. is on the team, and great talent, really kid. He gets hurt every now and then, just like anybody else. But you know what? Now I think he's doing much better. But it's
working hard.
Yeah, really does, and it's exciting. But without these sponsors out there, we wouldn't have teams. You know what I mean? And you really need to treat the sponsor really good, and you got to give them as much as you can. And that's been what we've done. You know what I mean? And John Paul, we met last year in Houston last year, right in October. Yeah, and he took a private jet to where we were. And it was me and Christine and Steve Babcock and Rocky DeRico, the four of us there. And he sat down with us for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was such a great time. And he had such a great time. And, the special person, really, really is a special person. And the first thing he said to me, he goes, "Oh, well, what else can I do for you guys?" You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, he's that type of a person. I'm really proud of the way that we've run this team. Me and Steve Babcock, when we first got it, we ran it, and we still run it the same way right now. And having the executive team that we got here, I got to tell you that it's an exciting time for our team again. And you know what, Jackson? Something I was thinking about a little while ago. A lot of the people that were on the Atlantic team and the original Atlantic team and Transworld Oil, a lot of them became members of Team Paul Mitchell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Richard Plowden and Terry Kramer and Anthony Price and, and all these people, What?
Me?
Yeah. She was the first one.
That was the first one.
She was the first one that come over. And then Kevin, of course, Kevin Thompson and Terry Kramer. And like I was mentioning the others, all really great people. And they became a part of our team, part of our history, which, we're about 140 competitors in our lifetime on Team Paul Mitchell. And I got to say that I love them all. I really do. And as I was talking to you the other day, Jackson, can't tell you how proud I am of having you as a part of my life in our team here and so forth, and what you've done as an individual and not just as a competitor, but as a person. You've really, really done a terrific job, and we're so happy to have you as one of our inductees for the Hall of Fame, which I wanted to just give a quick thing of Sammy Smith is also going to be inducted in there, and she was a part of Team Paul Mitchell. And then we got Robert Leclerc, who, you know what, a lot of people don't give him the appreciation that he should have. He's been competing and judging and promoting karate for years, and he's finally going to get his due, so to speak. And that's the same thing with Jared Laker. Jared Laker's the same thing. He was a competitor. He was a coach, a judge, promoter. His father got sick and wasn't able to go to America, whose father, was one of the promoters there. And Jared stepped in there and did a terrific job, filling in for his father. He really did a great job, And, it's just, we had one more person too, right?
Did you mention Sam Gagnon?
Sam Gagnon is another one. It's along the same lines as these other two individuals. As a competitor, as a coach, as a judge, and also as a promoter for the Quebec tournament, with the other guys there, and you know what? All of these people that are getting inducted, which include yourself, is I'm excited to have you on stage. I really am.
Thank you, Coach. But yeah, I mean, it is an awesome class getting inducted, and it's an honor for me, of course. And Coach, thank you for all your other kind words as well. That means the world to me, and you know that. Thank you. Not much else to say about that other than thank you. But I guess to close out the show, what we'll transition to is, and I think that what we've been talking about with teams, especially Christine, with what you were saying about CBR looking to expand, looking to grow a little bit, but you want to make sure it's the right fit. I think the important lesson to be learned for any competitors that are watching, that are on, the up and coming trend, and they're trying to get noticed by teams. Teams are always watching, right? Whether it's Paul Mitchell, whether it's CBR, whether it's my role when I wear my competitive edge hat versus my Paul Mitchell hat, right? Different players obviously fit the mold differently, right? Competitive edge, you have to earn in a different way than obviously you got to be one of the world's best to earn a shot at Paul Mitchell, right? But outside of the three people that you're watching on this podcast, all the other team coaches, same thing. Everybody's always looking. Everybody always is kind of keeping an eye on the talent that's up and coming. So you don't have to worry too much about how do I get on a team, right? It's the question I get all the time. People show up to one tournament and think they have to be on a team, right? No, it's really about continuing to show up. And if you continue to show up and you continue to progress, the coaches who you want to notice you will, because they're always looking out. All you got to do is show up and make yourself available. Again, the best type of ability is availability, right? The more that you show up and you're there, the more you're going to get seen, the more you're going to get noticed. So what we're going to end the show with is, this can be for forms and weapons, it can be for fighting, it can be in general, it doesn't matter. But from each of you, maybe it's specific to Ocean States, maybe it's general sport karate career advice, who knows? What is one tip, one piece of advice that you would give to any competitor watching the podcast right now?
Well, I got to tell you, Jackson, you pretty much hammered it right there. You pretty much said it all. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're not there, people aren't going to be thinking of you. It's that simple, But if you go out there and you perform and you have the right attitude and you represent yourself well and you get to be really good at what you do, and, it brings up a good thing. I'm so glad that you brought up all this stuff, because we just added a person to our team not too long ago. Her name is Gabrielle. And you know what? She, the first thing I told her when I talked to her on the phone, I said, I just want you to know that your husband had nothing to do with you getting on this team. I said, you earned a spot yourself. And I want you to know that. It's not because you're Jackson, Jackson's your husband. It's because you are who you are. You know what I mean? And I said, it's important for you to know that. And I wanted her to know that. I mean, you know what? She earned a spot on this team because of who she is. And we're really excited about having her on here. And I think that's what my perspective is to be persistent, keep going out there. You might not take first sometimes, Christine didn't take first place for a long time. Then she started winning, and then she caught the bug, and then I couldn't get it out of her. You know what I mean? But I don't know if you want to add something to that.
No, I mean, just as a martial artist is not, maybe when you golf or play baseball, that's when you're on the field, that's what you're doing. But after that, life changes. As a martial artist, it's you are a martial artist 24 hours a day. And, coaches are not just looking at, I know not myself or him, just looking at what you're doing in the ring. It's, what type of person you are outside the ring and stuff, and how you handle winning just as well as you handle losing. And, so things like that. So I think it's not only being watched in the ring, but, your character and being a good sport and just being a good person. So I think those things are things that coaches look for as well.
That's awesome. I think such great perspectives from the both of you. I think that's exactly what competitors need to hear. And just having that growth mindset, right? A lot of times competitors can get frustrated by, they do what we're telling them to, right? They show up and they continue to come to the tournaments, and they live their life as a martial artist. They're doing all the right things, but they just haven't taken that next step to get to that next level yet. And the most important advice that I give to competitors is, everybody's career happens on a different timeline, right? You might become the best at a certain point, and let's say your goal is to get on Paul Mitchell, right? You may become the best at a certain point, and the timing just isn't right. You know what I mean? And you got to be the best for maybe an extra year or an extra 2 years for the timing to be right for you to get that call from Paul Mitchell, right? Or let's not make it a Paul Mitchell thing, right? To get invited to be on the U.S. Open stage, right? Or every year at the Diamonds, you get to the finals and then you drop your weapon every time and you can't figure, whatever the case may be at any level, right? Whether you're at those big tournaments, whether maybe it's the Ocean States, you're trying to get on stage at the Ocean States every year, and for 3 years in a row you've been one judge away from making it to the finals, right? Whatever the case may be, it's always about having that growth mindset, looking at the ways that you can improve, looking at the ways that you can step up your game, whether you're just starting out or you're already one of the best. How do you continue to grow, live that martial arts lifestyle, and above all else, keep showing up, keep being there, and that's what's going to give you the most opportunities to have success. So with all that being said, most important thing for me to say to you guys is thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I know you guys were on the show once before. We'd have to scroll through the archives on the Jackson Rudolph Podcast YouTube channel to find it. But always a good time having you guys on the show. You're welcome to come on the podcast anytime you'd like. And I'm glad we got a good opportunity today to talk about the Ocean States, which is a sport karate event that I absolutely recommend for anybody that can make it out there. If you're anywhere in the vicinity of Rhode Island, you've got no excuse. You got to be there. It's an awesome martial arts tournament, tons of history, tons of prestige. All of the world's best are going to be there competing. And it's a really special place to be. So thank both of you for coming on the podcast today. And I'll leave it up to any closing remarks from you guys.
We appreciate being on here. We really do, Jackson, to let everyone know what we got going on. And you just keep up the great work that you do. That's all I can say. We're behind you 100%, and some of the people and some of the things that you've put really have been launching the sport karate into another zone, so to speak.
Yes, thank you for having us on, and thank you in advance for everyone who will be coming to the Ocean State and supporting the event, and anyone who can help out officiating or scorekeeping or whatever, please reach out to me and so we can get you pre-assigned to good rings that, kind of like what the days that you want and stuff like that. So
awesome. And again, competitors, if you think there's any chance of you being on stage at Ocean States, Ocean State Grand Nationals Facebook page, find the link to the music website, fill out the form and get your music. Extremely, extremely important. Make sure you go do that. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Go do it, because if you've got a chance of being on stage and you want to use music, you got to get that figured out now. Also, with us being 6 weeks out, now's the perfect time to do it so that you've got time to get your stuff choreographed as much as it can be. I know that that's something that a lot of people worry about. Oh, well, it's royalty free. How do I choreograph? Do your best, right? You'll get bonus points from the judges if you're able to choreograph something to the royalty-free music, but you're not going to be penalized for it not being perfectly choreographed, because we all know the nature of the royalty-free music, right? So Go do it. Be prepared.
They can cut and loop it too. So
awesome. See, even better. Makes it an even better way to make sure that you guys get some choreography in there, because it will give you bonus points from the judges. I know sometimes sport karate catches some slack for nobody being choreographed anymore, but if you do it, you will get bonus points for it, for sure. But anyway, so once again, if you think you got a chance to be on stage, make sure you go through that process. Super important. And lastly, thank you to everybody that tuned in and watched the show. The show wouldn't be possible without you guys' support, as well as the support of Black Belt Magazine. So big shout out to Black Belt Magazine for them letting us use their platform to share and spread the gospel of sport karate, as I always say. So once again, this has been episode 122 of the Jackson Rudolph Podcast. I'm Jackson Rudolph, and I'll see you next time.